All right, it is 12:15, so I'm going to start back up again. Let me first go back and quickly review what we did this morning. All right. So the first thing that we did this morning after we went over the email, as we always do, was I lectured on chapter 18. Chapter 18 is on how to use LINQ. That's what these two programs I did today are all about. LINQ is an acronym that stands for line integrated query. It allows you to take some information that you have, be it an array or a list, or as you'll see next week, a database, and query it or get information from it. All right. You can buy whole books on LINQ. So this chapter was less than 30 pages, but it could have been much more comprehensive. It still is well written, and the examples are just fine. So we did that first. All right. After we did that, then I went and showed people, and I'm going to send this out to you, some resources. Where are you? Come on. For LINQ. So there were about 10 or so resources that are in here. And I did mention that if you're interested, this first one that's here, and again, you're going to get this email this afternoon, all right? But this first one that's here says Microsoft LINQ series. Do you have to watch it? Bottom line is I'm not trying to be funny here. You don't have to do anything, if you're willing to pay the consequences, I guess. But this is Bill and Mika, and they go through 8 videos, and they're anywhere from 5 minutes long till 10 minutes long. The only one you really would probably be interested in here is this first one, which is 5 minutes long, because what they show you in here, amongst other things, is how you can use a built-in, or I shouldn't say built-in, but some free Microsoft software, and I demoed it. All right, just to show it to you. I go through the steps in the video, but you will come in here and you will make your own folder, call it whatever you want. I called mine LINQ samples. And then you will go out to GitHub and grab Microsoft's thing, and you'll actually clone it. I show you how to do that. And once you do that, then, and you go in and you do that. So you open this up. All right. And I wanted to look at this 101 LINQ samples. So I'm going to open up in here, Git Bash here. And you have to download a tool called .NET Try. I showed you how to do that in there. But then when you say .NET Try and hit enter, it brings this up. It throws you into a browser, and it's got a bunch of samples and stuff that are in here. And it basically tells you, and it shows you what to do, etc. There's a boatload of stuff that's in here. The one you're probably the most interested in is 101 LINQ samples. So I clicked on that, and literally, once you go through there, it says, hey, to run these samples, you need to follow the instructions in this tutorial. If you've already done that, you will have click here. All right. And it starts, as it says, with the fundamentals. You can read through this. Do you have to do this? You don't have to do anything. But the final project that you do for this class will be a combination of classes and using LINQ. So if you run into trouble with anything, you can go in there and use these. And what it does is it gives you, as it says, 101 examples, and it shows you how to use this. Now, the only thing I'm not sure of, and I don't know why this is happening, when you run it by clicking here, it should show you the answer here. Mine is just showing me a bunch of red, and I don't know why it's doing that. I'm not sure why. All right. I will try to look at that for tomorrow, but there are 101 different examples in here. Of course, I didn't go through 101 examples, but I mentioned that was in there. All right. Okay. Next, I mentioned that what we're going to do, I want to say this again, what we are going to do for the projects for chapters 17 and 18 is we're going to do this project tomorrow. Project 4.3 called Display Incidents by Technician. So we will go over this tomorrow. All right. Also tomorrow, we will go over from chapter 17, 17.1, work with a text file. We're going to skip 17.2. It's basically the same program. And then we're going to do 18.1 as a class. So what I'm saying is, for your next set of homeworks, you are going to be responsible then for extra exercise in 1, extra exercise 18.1, and project 4-3. Now that's going to be your homework and your labs. Of course, you'll have to do the written tests for chapters 17 and 18. All right. You will not repeat this. You will not be getting a hands-on test for this. Rather, I handed out this, we're going to call it a LINQ worksheet. And there are 3 problems on it. And it is worth 100 points. I'm doing the first 2 of 3 with you, for you. You still have to do these. So I want to make sure people get this. This is all going to be due Sunday. But we will have done all of these and 2 of these together. So out of the 6 problems you're being assigned, we will have done 5 of them together. You must still complete all 6. Now, this morning I sent you out 2 things. One was this thing, and we're going to go over this song search again as a class in just a minute. We just finished before the break going through the employee search. So that is 100 points. So that's 25, 50 of the 100 points. You are going to have to do this last one, which will be a GUI, yourselves. All right, there's a couple things that I want you to try to figure out. You're going to have to Google and look up some stuff. All right. Okay. So with that said, let's take a quick look at each one of these. I hope to do this. It is 12:24. I'm hoping to go over both of these programs and be done by 1 p.m. All right. So the first one here is LB Lab 01 Song Search, done as a class. Now, it says provide a user interface. I decided today to not do any problems that had a user interface. Both the problems I did today were console apps. I'm going to try to redo this one tomorrow, this song search, but redo it as as a GUI app. So forget that bullet for now is even there. All right, I created a searchable music library, which I'll show you in a minute. I created a song class that has a name, an artist, and a genre. I also created a song manager class. We're going to go over all those in a minute. I created the list of song objects in that song manager class, and I used LINQ methods, including the where method, to do searches. All right, so let's take a look at that. Now, I'm looking real quick. This morning's lecture, the first one, which was 3 hours and 59 minutes, It cuts me off after 4 hours, but that first one is done, and it is now out there on GitHub on my account. All right, and I will send you an email with the URL for it later today. All right, but that was 3 hours and 57 minutes. This one, the second video, is going to be approximately 4 hours. 4 hours, 45 minutes, not 4 hours. All right. So looking at the first problem with this song search, let's bring that up. So let me close this, save. I'm going to close this. I'm just going to close everything. So the first thing that I did this morning when we started on these projects was I created a songs class library. That songs class library has 2 files in it that I created, a song class and a song manager class. Let's start with the song class. This is taken right from, repeat this, this is taken right from the requirements or specifications that you were given. In other words, this material is from here. So a song class with a name, an artist, and a genre. There's the song class, make it public. There's the song title. There's the song artist, and there's the song genre. All right, so there those are, all strings. I made a no-arg constructor, which would just set title to the empty string, artist to the empty string, and genre to the empty string. Then I overrode the toString method. So when we run the program and we print stuff out, this is what it's going to say. It'll have song title and then a space or two, and then the title of the song. Then on the next line, it'll say song artist with a space, and then the artist. And then on the next line, song genre with a couple spaces and the genre. Right? So that was everything that was put into this public class song. We had 3 properties, all strings. We had a no-arg constructor, and we overrode the toString method. That's the first thing. Let me do a file save all in here, and I'm going to close this. Then we created what's called, what I called, you can call it whatever you want, a song manager class. And it has a list of 75 songs. I sent these to you this morning inside of a text file. All right. But what we do is we create a new class. Again, change this from internal to public. All right. Then public static list. Now, the way that we're setting this up, I'm not saying equals or anything. I am basically, this list of songs is going to be set by calling load data, which is this. So I'm creating a new song list, which is a list of my songs. And as I add these, each song has a title, has an artist, and has a genre. The same way that it was shown, the same way that it was shown in the actual class. Then at the very bottom, I return that song list. That's it. All right, so let's take a look at the actual console app for the song. So comments were taken right from our specs. Create a searchable music library. I just showed that to you. That was my song manager. Create a song class that holds name, artist, and genre. I just showed you that. That was in the song class. The list of song objects are what we use to create the searchable music library in our song manager. Again, I didn't provide a user interface. I hope to be able, if I have time, to rewrite this tonight and rewrite it as a GUI. okay? And then use LINQ methods, including the where method, to perform searches. All right. So these are my 4 constants. All right. Was going to check something very quickly here. Okay, that's it. It's is empty or null. Okay, we can try that. Okay. So here is my global variable. This is my list of songs. It's going to call that load data. So songs will now have 75 different songs in it. All right. Main is very tight. In other words, it's very small. This is going to be a menu option. So when we run the program, it's going to present rather a very crude looking little menu. Remember, this is a console app. All right. It will expect the user to put in a number between 1 and 7. All right. This run again will ask at the end of the program run, do you want to run the program again? We set it to true, so we're sure we fall into it at the beginning. Then this option, this number 1 through 7, it's going to be set by calling show menu. Show menu, again, not a really long routine. I built the menu string in here. Enter a 1 to show songs by title ascending, a 2 for artist ascending, a 3 for genre ascending, and then 4 through 6 to show the title that meets the criteria, artist that meets the criteria, or a genre that meets the criteria. Finally, 7 if we want to end the program. All right, I added that. I didn't have it in there originally. And then what do? We tell the user to enter a 1 through 7. Then we validate that that an int was input. If it wasn't, we just say you must enter a number, and we call the same function we're in the show menu, we call it again. All right. And here, if we put in a number out of range, our valid range, as you just saw, was 1 through 7. So if we put in a number that's less than 1, or we put in a number that's greater than 7, again, we give you an error message, and we call the same function again. So the only way that you're going to get to this line right here, the only way you're going to get to line 91 and boom, get out of that function in a quote normal manner, unquote. The only way is to enter a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 right here. If you enter anything that's not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, you're either going to get this message if you put in something empty or non-numeric, or you're going to get this message if you put in a number, but it was out of range. All right. Now we've got an option that's got to be between 1 and 7. We make a method call to something I called call correct LINQ function, and we pass in that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. If we passed in a 1, we call show song list by title ascending. If we passed in a 2, it shows song list by artist ascending. If we pass in a 3, it shows song list by genre ascending. If we pass in a 4, it shows song list by title criteria. If we pass in a 5, it shows song list by artist criteria. And if we pass in a 6, it shows song list by genre criteria. If it's a 7, we exit the program. The way that you exit a program, if it is a console app, and you can see it at the very bottom here, is you just say environment.exit 0. That's what's considered a normal ending, for lack of better words. Then we have each one of these functions. The first three are virtually the same. The last four are virtually the same. So look at this, because really lines 135, 136, 137, and 138 are, much of them at least, are what this chapter is about. This is a LINQ query. The way that you run a LINQ query, in the way that we're running it now, we're basically writing a deferred query, all right? But we're telling it that we want it to go through our list of songs, and for each song, select it and order our entire list of 75 songs in ascending order based on the title. So then we say, here is the song list in ascending order by title. So you'll notice if I run this, now there's 75 songs here. I put in way too many, but if I put in a 1 and I hit it again, oops, wrong. I'm sorry, that's the second program. Go back and change that back to the first program. All righty. So a 1, there's my songs. And they should be in order based on title. A Boy Named Sue, A Day in the Life, All by Myself, All Out. And as you can see, we're going down alphabetically with the first letter. S's, T's, U, W, Y. There's no Z in there. All right. Then we do, now when we're doing this, and this is what I wanted to go over with you. I can grab any of them, but let's just grab this one. It's the first one. So again, this is a LINQ query. What you're going to learn next week, all right, and I'll put it in here, but I'm going to comment it out. Next week, we're going to talk databases. When we write this kind of a query with a database, we're going to say select song title from songs order by song title. So it looks similar, just basically the order has changed. This has got from first, here from is second. This has got order by second, here it's third. And this has got select third, and here it's first. This is right here, let's put it this way. This one right here is what we'll call our LINQ representation. And this right here, if we did it this way, is our SQL representation. So they look similar to one another. All right. So why do we have two of them then? The second one, that SQL representation that you see there, will only work with databases. We begin our discussion of databases next week. Next week on Monday and Tuesday, we'll go through chapters 19 and 20. The following week, we will go through chapters 21 and 22. Then we're finished with the book. The last 2 weeks of class you're going to have literally 8 days of just lab time. I'll be online every one of those days. All right. And it'll be for you to work on your final project, which we'll talk about some more tomorrow, and your electronic portfolio. All right. So we come through here, and when we get done, this title ascending right here, this is going to hold all it's basically, it's going to hold everything that we have, all right, in our song database, in our song, I should say, in our song list. Then we come down here and we put it into a for each loop. Now I wanted to try something here. Don't know if it'll work or not, but I just checked that right before we came in here, and that's this. Tomorrow we're going to go and look at this. I just don't want to get off on too big of a tangent. I'm going to leave this up here. All right, so we could talk about some more stuff with LINQ tomorrow. This is going to write out everything that we have. If we go in and put in a title, so if we do number 1, it's just going to list all the titles. There's not really anything we can do. And you'll notice that the first one that's in here is A Boy Named Sue. And the last one that's in here is You're Beautiful. All right. If we had changed this, now it is set up for ascending. It is. But had we, instead of ascending here, put descending, all right? I'm going to change it back in a moment. But if we run this and put in a 1, now you'll notice A Boy Named Sue is at the bottom and You're Beautiful is at the top, because we used descending rather than ascending. Now, ascending is the default. You don't even need the word in there. To show you, if I remove that and save this and run it again and choose 1, I get it again. Whereas number 1 is A Boy Named Sue, and number 75, I think it is You're Beautiful. All right. And it was a little bit of overkill for me to put the word ascending in there, but I did anyway. All right. So then we just come in here and we write them out. Then we do a similar thing in here, but we're doing it now by artist. So earlier we said we wanted you to order it by title in ascending order, and that was our title is ascending, and we're calling it artist ascending. Other than that, it's pretty much the same routine. And the last one, order by genre ascending. All right, so there's so many different ways that this can be done, just so you know. All right. And I'm clearing before we're doing, excuse me, each one of these, just so we're starting with pretty much a clear screen all the time. Now, the next one's a little easier to read, the next one, because there's only 20 records. But since I put everything on its own line, right, I mean, when we run this, and I put in a 1, there's only 3 lines here. All right. So each one of these, you see here, song title, this right there. Why is it printing that? And why does it look like that? It looks like that because that's the way that we set it up in here in our song library, in our overridden two-string method. That's exactly what we told it to print. The song title followed by the title, the song artist followed by the artist, the song genre followed by the genre. And you'll notice it doesn't matter which of these I do. So I did number 1 for you already. Here's number 2. So here's the artist in ascending order. So if you look at that, first one is Adele. Then we go to Air Supply, America. There's a lot of Beatles ones in here. And the last one is ZZ Top. All right. Finally, if we run it again, not finally, but if we run it again And now we choose genre, and I put a 3 in there. Then you'll notice at the top are classics, and then after classics come country. After country come pop. After pop come rock. After rock come rock and roll. After rock and roll comes soft rock. So again, they are in alphabetic order. Since all three of these fields that are in here are strings, it made sense to be putting things in ascending order. If we had a numeric field in here, then we may have wanted to put something in descending order. All right. And then now finally, for the last three things that are in here, I guess it's what the last, yeah. So we've got show song list by title criteria, or by artist criteria, or by genre criteria. This is just exit, so it's nothing new there. We look at these. Here's title criteria. So what are we doing here? We are telling the user to enter a song title, and we're using that same kind of check with the contains that we've used quite a bit this semester. That allows us to either put in the full title of a song or the partial title for the song. All right. So now we come through here after we do that, and we just create this string called title, and we tell them to enter a song title. We tell them it can be full or partial. All right, then we set title equal to whatever we read in. We check to make sure if there's no input, we'll have this nothing inputted. All right. Otherwise, here's where the where condition comes in. Previously, we did this. If you imagine that this line is out of there, that's what we did previously. We said from T in songs, that's T for title. You can call it anything you want, ordered by T dot song title. But now we're saying, but only the ones that contain what we put in there. And then we do our, we print it out. We write everything out. So if I come in here now and do a number 4, and it says enter a song title, and I put in love. All out of love, how deep is your love? I love rock and roll. I want to know what love is, and a whole lot of love. Now, what I want to change, fix, whatever you want to call this, is I want to fix this. So if I come through here and I put in a 6, and it says enter a genre to search for, and I put in hello. All right, it says genres matching inputted criteria. I don't want it to come back with nothing like that. All right. I want instead for us to be able to come in here and put in this constant that says no song title matching search criteria, or if it's the artist, or if it's the genre, etc. All right. And finally, the only other thing it's not new, but it's been a while since we've done a console app, and that is if we do put in a 7 here, we call exit pro. It's very similar to the stuff we've been doing, but all we do is clear and we let them know, hey, this is a normal program termination. And then this is considered a graceful exit from a console app. So if I come in here and do a 3, and then if it says, do you want to run it again? And I say no. Okay. Now it's just like that. All right. I'm not sure why, but that read line didn't really stick. All right. That was the first one that we were supposed to do. The second one is very similar to the first one. So with this second one, it's an employee search. We're creating a searchable HR database. All right. and we're creating an employee class with all that good stuff in it. And then we're creating a list of the employee objects. We're doing a thing here. This only says the user interface is searched by city. I did very similar. I allowed you to search by last name, by address, by city, by state, or by zip, those 5 things. And I also allowed you to search by last name with criteria, or address with criteria, or city with criteria. So I had even more than what was on there. I'd like you to do it the way I did it, if you would, please. So let's take a look at that one. So let me come in here, and yes, I closed it. I don't know why I would have, but I guess I did. All right. So I bring up the other one. So we're now done with the song one. So let's start by coming in here and looking at the employee library. Very similar to what we did before. It's got an employee class and an employee manager class. So with the employee class, you can see what's in here. We've got our properties as it's security number, address, city, state, and zip code. They're all strings. We've got a NOR constructor, and we again overrode our 2-string method. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of information are put right there. So that is our employee class. Public class employee, here's our properties. There is our NOR constructor. All right, that is our 2-string. And I wanted to say something too, just so you know what's going on. Evan is my counterpart at the St. Louis campus, and he and I meet usually every week, and we talk about what's going on, what's working, what's not working. And Doug Gegelman, who teaches in the classroom at first year classes at the St. Louis campus, he's going to, I believe, starting this week, he's going to be in our meetings too. But this summer is the first time that Evan has ever taught a class fully online. And he asked me a couple weeks ago, he said, "It's really worked? I mean, you have problems doing this?" And I said, the biggest problem that I have is like when I give these presentations, quite often there's either one person listening when live, what I mean is live, or there's no one listening live. And it's okay. That's why this program is set up the way it is. But that said, there is something to be said to being in the classroom saying, "Do you understand this?" and waiting for a dozen heads to nod up and down, north and south or east and west if they don't get it. And he said it's been the biggest change for him, is just not seeing people, all right, and having that interaction the way it is, all right. Well, the reason I'm telling you that is, for instance, this that we're going over right now, all right, this kind of thing, Evan gave this out last semester, and he didn't do any of these problems for the students. All right. And don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing myself to him. I'm not saying I'm better than him. What I'm trying to do is, because we don't have the face-to-face interaction, since we do not have that, that is why I'm spending more time doing some of these problems, but still expecting you to do them, and still expecting you to contact me if you have problems when you're doing them. All right, so let's get on to this second one. So we already looked at our employee class. All right. We also have an employee manager. So we've got 20 employees in here. Each employee, as you can see, make this a lot smaller. So I know that's hard to read, but I just want you to see this. Each employee has a first name, has a last name, has a social security number, has an address, has a city, has a state, and has a zip code. All right. That is what we put into our employee manager class, very similar to the song manager class that we did previously. All right, so we come up here, we create the new class, again, make it public. And just like I did before, and there's nothing special about the words load data, but that's what we're doing. And that's why I called it load data. All right. We've got an employee list, which is a list of employees. It's called emp list. We could have called it emp. We could have called it employees. It doesn't matter. And there are a list of 20 employees. First names, last names, social security numbers, addresses, city, state, and zip. Those 7 pieces of information. Then we return that employee list when we're all done. So if you watched the end of the previous video, probably about the last half hour or so, what you would have noticed is I did a lot of copy and paste between the song program and this employee program. Why? Because there are similarities between the two programs. I didn't have to do it that way. It's just that's the way I did it. All right. So here was the comment that was taken right from your requirements from the piece of paper you were given. And again, I have to figure out by tomorrow when these don't return anything. I want to put, I don't want it to be blank like it is right now. I want it to show that error message. So if I put in for a city, if I put in, I don't know, St. Louis, and there is nobody from St. Louis in there, I want it to say no employee city matching inputted criteria. I don't want it to be blank the way it is now. Okay. So again, these are my global constants. This is my one global variable, just like we had before. It is static. It is a list of employees called employees. And I'm seeding it or giving it information by calling that load data that I showed you previously. My main method is virtually the same as the main method that I had for the song list program. We've got an integer there that says option, and that is the menu option I'm going to choose. Previously, it was 1 to 7. Now I've got 1 to 9. Run again is very similar. Allow me to run the program again when I get done. All right. This option, the show menu, is virtually identical to the show menu I wrote for the song program, except of course I'm calling different things. But again, it's set up the same way. We read in a value. We attempt to convert that value to an integer. If we can do it, result is true. And this, it now kind of, for lack of better words, becomes this. If we try doing it, but we can't, then result will be false. And this is moot because we won't have anything in there. All right. So just like before, we clear the screen, then we build up this menu string telling you to add a 1 through 9. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 will allow you to sort based on either last name or address or city or state or zip code. So for instance, if we go back and we look in here, just to show you this, I bring this back up and over. All right, you'll notice, what do we have here? Well, we've got 63366, 63303, 63301, and 63385. Why am I telling you that? Because if I run this, that's still the old one, so I got to change to the other program. And I come in and I do a 5. Notice the zip codes. The first one is 63301. All of those, then 63303. And after all of those, 63366. And after those, 63385. So everything is working in here. So we come in here, we do make sure, again, they put a number in there. If they didn't, we give them an error message, and then we just call the show menu again. If they put in a number less than our minimum, which is 1, or greater than our maximum, which is 9, we give them an error message, and we again show the menu, call show menu. Eventually, we get down to here, and we return the option that they chose. Why? Because the option that they chose, and I can comment that now. That option is going to be passed a call correct LINQ function. So if it's a 1, we're going to call show employee by last name ascending. If it's a 2, we're going to call show employee by address ascending. A 3, show employee by city ascending, etc. And if we grab one of those, the first 4 or 5 are very similar. So there's last name ascending. So notice I created a var which said last name ascending. We could have called that anything. Then we're telling it to iterate or loop through the employee list and build your own list. All right. And it should be in alphabetic order based on the last name. If there are 2 people with the same last name, then do it by first name in ascending order. So if I run this and I look at last name, put a 1 in there, you'll notice they're in order, but we've got here Mike James and Sven James. Sven, I don't know how I got Sven, but I did. All right. The point is M comes before S, so that's working. They both have the same last name, so it's going to first name and putting them in ascending order. All right. So this is 2 different things that we're sorting on here. And it's in a major minor kind of order. We sort first based on the last name. Then if there's any ties or the same last name, we go to first name. If we thought there'd be ties again, we could sort on even another field if we wanted to do so. Then we do virtually the same thing. And you'll notice, again, these are lambda expressions from a data element in your data source, which is employees. And we've got an order by to let it know we're putting it, in this case, by address in ascending order. Then what it is to be sorted, right? So it's got all of our employees, in this case, by address in ascending order. We run it through a for each. and write out the contents. We do the same thing again with city. Then we come in and we do the same thing with state. Then we come in and do the same thing with zip code. Now, if we had made zip code a straight number field, there would have been a little more dinking around, etc., that we have to do. We don't have to do that, though. All right. Then we added criteria. Okay. So in other words, if I run the program and put in a 6, all employees' last name meeting this criteria. All right, so I'll put in a 6. And what's the criteria? I'll say anybody who has ES in their name. And you'll notice ES for James, ES for James, ES for Jones, ES for Jones. So I guess I've got 2 Joneses as well. All right, so that appears to be working. Okay, and that's a partial search right there. Okay. And again, here's our lambda expression. And this time in our lambda expression, we have included in there the where clause. Remember, where does filtering? I gave an example this morning where I said, imagine we've got 400 employees at Rankin. I don't know if there's more or less than that. I don't care. But we're going to assume that the person who makes the most money at Rankin is our president. And we're going to assume he makes 350 grand a year. I have no idea if that's high, low, or right. I don't know. So if we did this where we did something and we said from, E and employees, order by, let's say, E dot salary in descending order. If we said where salary is greater than or equal to $1 million, it wouldn't return anything. That doesn't mean that the query's bad. That means that there's no records that meet that criteria. All right. And I just noticed something too in here, so let me grab that. All right. This another time we've done things like this before. All right. This again is asking you if you want to run the program again. And we're trying to give you a hint to put in a Y or an N, but some people will not put in anything, or they will type in the word yes, or they won't put it in uppercase. So we grab everything they put in and convert all of it to uppercase, and then just grab the first character. And if that first character that we grabbed was a Y, okay, is we don't want to run the program again if it's not a Y. So we set ret val to false and we return. And there's our exit program or not. So what I plan on doing tomorrow, I've already got it written, but I just want to show you. All right, because I'm going to have to go back and review it myself. But let's see where that is. That is not it. I think it's this one, but we'll see. Because there's a little finagling you've got to do, but the program is going to be the same. It'll virtually be the same tomorrow. But if we run this, it's going to have a GUI. Now you say, there's nothing here, there's nothing here. Yeah, because I'm going to choose show songs ascending by genre. And I click search and I get shows our song list ascending genre. And notice our genre is classic, then country, then pop. If I change it to by title and I do a search, it's going to ask me, remember what we did before with love? And there's those same ones that we saw previously. So that's what we will be working on tomorrow. All right. After we get done with that, I will go over with you extra exercise 17.1, extra exercise 18.1, and project 4-3. As I mentioned previously, and I am saying it again right now for everyone who's listening, get rid of these. All right. But what I'm saying right now for everybody's edification is, as far as the homework that you are supposed to be doing, it is these 6 problems: extra exercise 17.1, extra exercise 17 or 18.1, project 4.3. All 3 of those, all 3 of these, we will have done by tomorrow as a class. Written tests 17 and 18, which you always do on your own, and sheet, 3 problems, 100 points in lieu of a hands-on test. The first problem is the song search. Already done it. We'll redo it tomorrow as a GUI app. The second problem is the employee search. Already done it. Will not go through it tomorrow. The third one you are to do is this grade thing. So if we look at that, create an application that calculates the final grades for a group of students. The program must read data in from your own text file. So you're going to use a text file here. I want you to try to see if you can figure out how to do that. We're going to do a text file example tomorrow with 10 different student names, lab grades, and test grades. The program must allow the user to search for students by name with an insensitive search. So you use that contains with the 2 upper like we just did. The program, if it finds a match, must display the student's average lab grade, their average test grade, and their overall grade. And notice that that is what is referred to as a weighted average, 40% for lab, 60% for tests. If you leave this blank in this text box, or if you put in something non-matching, it should say, for example, if I put in there, I don't know, XYZ, XYZ, it should say something like XYZ not found. So tomorrow, this is what we're going to be going over. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me in the interim. I don't know how long tomorrow's class is going to take. Thursday will be lab for the entire period. All right, we will again go over your final project tomorrow. Hopefully I'll remember to do that. All right, and Thursday will be a lab, so you'll have time to work on all this stuff. Then next week on Monday and Tuesday, we'll go over beginning databases, And then the following week on Monday, Tuesday, we'll do 21 and 22, which is some other database stuff. On the Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we'll probably do some problems together. All right, I'll probably assign something that you'll have to do on your own. And the Thursdays, so every Thursday we've got left, which is this Thursday, the 20th, next Thursday, the 27th, the next Thursday, the 3rd, the next Thursday, the 10th, and the last Thursday that we technically won't even meet that last day, but the 17th. Those are all lab days. So even if you just look at it as being the first 4, you are getting 26 hours because we meet 6.5 hours a day. So 6.5 times 4, the equivalent of an entire week's worth of class. You're getting to work on your electronic portfolio and the last project that we have. All right. So again, questions, feel free to email me. Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day. I'll see you then.